So, question of the day is, should you go to UC Berkeley? Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla. If you are new here, hello. I am a fourth year student at UC Berkeley, and I've seen that a lot of university results have come out and the deadline to commit is approaching very soon. I have a lot of college related videos if you want to check those out. I think I have a playlist. I will link it down below. Just if you want to get a feel for the school, and I also go in depth about like the pros and cons of Berkeley in my opinion and all that good stuff, so check that out in the description box. But today I want to talk about whether or not you should go to UC Berkeley. Before we get into that, I'm going to quickly give you a little background on how I went about choosing UC Berkeley, and I definitely wasn't super prepared. I definitely didn't watch any videos like this. I honestly didn't really know about a lot of schools. I don't know what I was doing. Like, I think my only focus was to do well in school and like have all my extracurriculars and do well on the SAT, and I really didn't think about what college I would go to until results started coming in. At the time, I was very in between schools like Pepperdine, UCLA, UC Irvine, Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, and then Berkeley, I guess. I initially was gonna apply to Ivy Leagues. I think my ego and like me being a realist got in the way, and for some reason I thought that I didn't have what it took to be accepted into an Ivy League, which now that I think about it, first of all, it wouldn't have hurt to just apply, and second of all, it's sad that I even doubted myself in that way. Anyways, so those were like the main ones, and then I really decided that I didn't want to go to UCLA because I didn't like the LA area, still don't, so I was really set on UC Irvine, and I was so ready to go there. I toured the campus, I loved it, and I liked that I would have my car there, so my lifestyle wouldn't really be different. It's still in SoCal. I'm from Southern California, San Diego, so it really wasn't a big change, and I was very excited because I got accepted into the Paul Merage School of Business, and I really wanted to study business administration most likely. And then I all of a sudden decided that I wanted to go to UC Berkeley instead because I wanted to be a little bit further away from home, and also it was a better school. I like labels at the end of the day. Like, as much as I hate to say it, I do like labels. So then I started feeling like I was being dumb if I didn't go to Berkeley, since it's one of the best schools in the country, #1 public school. Moving away from home, going to a very well-known, well-respected school, and that's really about it. That is why I chose to come to UC Berkeley. And I definitely don't think that that is what you should do. Not saying that I regret going to Berkeley, because I don't tend to regret anything in my life. I think everything happens for a reason, so I don't regret it, but I do think that I should have taken the time to think about what college I was gonna go to a little bit more. With that said, here are some things that I think you should really consider when you're making the decision about what college to go to. The first thing is deciding whether or not you want to go to a private school or a public school. Public schools are huge. Sometimes your lectures are 800 people. Sometimes they over-enroll the classes, so not even everyone can fit into one lecture hall, and the rest of the people are either sitting on the floor or have to watch it online. Another thing is that with public schools, you are less likely to have one-on-one interactions with the actual professor unless you go to their office hours, and if you want them to know your name, you really have to make that effort. Usually you're just talking to the graduate student instructors, and that's about it. As you get into more major related courses, the courses tend to get a little bit smaller, so you do have a slightly more intimate connection with your professors, but for the most part, I would say that only a couple of my professors know me by name, and that's largely because I'm not a person that will really go to office hours, and I don't always like speak up and lecture with hundreds of students in the room. The next thing, which is kind of related to this, is the academic rigor of the school. I think I've mentioned this before, it might have changed, but a while ago, UC Berkeley was known to have the most stressed out students in terms of academics, and that is not great. Obviously, a lot of schools have different levels of academic rigor. It is not a joke when people make memes about like nerdy students smelling and not showering and just living at the library. That is not really a stretch. It is not. So if you do decide to come to Berkeley, and especially if you are majoring something, I don't know, in the sciences or something that is known to be more challenging, be prepared to work hard. So the academic rigor is kind of related to what you want to do and what career path you want to go down. If you are in the medical field, I know a lot of people choose not to come to Berkeley because they know that the classes are harder, and if they really want to apply for medical school, their GPA may or may not suffer by going to Berkeley because it is so challenging to do well in certain core classes. Whatever major it is, I definitely recommend trying to find somebody that is in that major and can offer some insight into how difficult it is to do well in the courses and how impacted the courses are. One thing about going to a big school is that, yes, they offer a ton of services and there is a lot of help for students. However, it doesn't come to you. You have to actively seek it. And I found out about a lot of critical resources on campus very late in the game because I just had no idea about it. No one ever mentioned it to me. And even if you go on the school's website, those resources aren't always 100% obvious. So yes, help is out there in a big school like Berkeley, but you definitely have to look for it. Similar to that, you should definitely look at what programs you're interested in and what UC Berkeley or whatever college it is can offer you. If you are looking into being in research, Berkeley is a great school for research. A lot of UCs are really great for research. If you are looking into business, UC Berkeley, Haas School of Business is one of the best. And with that, you also have to think about the requirements for declaring that particular program or that particular major. So for example, I was automatically admitted to UC Irvine Paul Merage School of Business. However, going into Berkeley, all students come in as undeclared, and you have to meet those minimum requirements in order to be able to declare. Haas School of Business only admits a couple hundred students per year in their undergrad program, so it is intense. Definitely didn't really think about that when I accepted Berkeley, because at the time I still wanted to major in business administration and I didn't think about what it would take to get into the school. That's kind of a tangent. And another thing is, you might not know what you want to do, and that's totally okay. But hopefully you have some sort of sense about what topics you're interested in so that hopefully you can do a little more research into those programs and those courses. Next, a big thing when deciding what college you should go to is the lifestyle of that college. I think the Bay Area and Berkeley has grown on me, but I wouldn't say that I loved the lifestyle for a majority of my college experience. The people are different. Not in a bad way, they're just different, and overall I wasn't crazy about Berkeley or the Bay Area, but now I think I've become more comfortable with it and I like it, but I definitely prefer a SoCal lifestyle. The last thing that I think is really important to consider when you're choosing a college is the cost of living. I've said this multiple times, please check my other playlists, but living in Berkeley is very expensive. The quality of housing is not great, and there's a shortage of affordable housing for college students. So that is definitely a big factor when considering whether or not you want to go here. When I pictured my college experience, I honestly pictured like living in a nice, somewhat renovated apartment and having a pool in the apartment complex maybe, because I know a lot of universities have pools in their apartment complexes, and just living that basic standard college lifestyle. And that's not what I have experienced. That's not what a lot of people at Berkeley have experienced, unless you're willing to pay a little bit more for that. And for me, I didn't see the value of paying several $100s more per month in order to have a more renovated apartment and it to be slightly nicer. I pay a good amount of money to live in a triple apartment, and we definitely didn't do the best job of choosing an apartment. Like, we could have done a little bit better, but we were kind of stressed out because housing is very limited and people start looking for housing for the following semester months in advance, and good apartments will go like that. So we didn't want to risk not having anywhere to live or ending up with a crappy apartment or ending up with a really expensive one, so we kind of settled for this one. So you really have to think about how much it costs to live, the quality of living. I would say the quality of living in the Bay Area is not great. Maybe you don't care about that, but overall the cost of living and the quality of life that you will have, I think, is important to think about. And then kind of going off of that, it's deciding whether or not you're going to stay home and save all that money on monthly rent, or if you want to move a little bit further in your state. So I live like 9 hours away from my original hometown, San Diego, or deciding to leave your state or your country altogether. And that is going to cost a lot of money if you do that, because you have to pay out-of-state tuition. If you really want to move out, how much extra is it going to cost you? And are you or your parents able to pay for that? And if you have to end up with some debt afterwards, are you willing to do that? And how much is it? The job that you're hoping to get or thinking about getting, how much is that going to pay you? And based on how much debt you might owe, how long is it going to take you to pay that off? I think those are all things that you should really be thinking about, especially if you're planning to move away from home. The minute that you decide you don't want to live at home for college, that is when college becomes a lot more expensive. So anyway, those are just the major things that came to mind when thinking about how I would have gone about picking a college and kind of how I wish that I went about picking a college. No, I do not regret coming to UC Berkeley. I think that Berkeley is a great choice. I wouldn't be the person that I am today without coming here. I don't even know what person I would be if I didn't come here, but I do feel like I was able to really grow by moving away from home and living more independently. Luckily, I was in a place where I was able to move away from home and really become more independent. But if I had to stay at home, that wouldn't be the end of the world, because after 4 years you can get a job and move away from home, move states if you want, and you can just really do whatever you want, because you'll be 21, maybe 22 when you're done with college, and you have the rest of your life ahead of you. So 4 years is really not an end-all be-all. Whatever happens though, remember that things happen for a reason, and it may not seem like the right decision at the time, or it may not seem like the ideal situation, but I think in the end you'll realize that all of that stuff just shapes who you are and is a very small portion of the rest of your life. I think that is all I have to talk about today. If you have any questions, please leave your questions down below and I will do my best to get back to you. If you go to Berkeley, feel free to leave your experience down below. I think that's very helpful to other people. If you have any other college experiences or tips for choosing a college, also leave that down below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe if you have not already. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!